Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, Amy, on Friday, as you recall, we interviewed Kathleen Willey.
Mm-hmm.
And Kathleen Willey, who recounted her allegations against Bill Clinton being sexually assaulted in the White House. And she said, at this point, it's not about the infidelities. It's about Hillary Clinton's in attack mode, covering up for Bill Clinton and rolling over anyone in her way. Listen to what Kathleen Willey described as how she described the issue for people to consider in advance of the November election. How do you react when women say, I don't care about Bill's past indiscretions, quote unquote, indiscretions? How do you, what would you say to those women?
This isn't about indiscretions, okay? This whole story is no longer about infidelities, indiscretions, girlfriends, sex, any interns, any of that. This is about a woman who is so greedy for power, and what she will do to stop anybody who gets in her way, and that includes all of us, and then some.
And one of the other women is Juanita Broaddrick. She's spoken up during this campaign using Twitter, among other forums, responding recently to an interview Chelsea gave to Cosmo, wasn't it?
Yeah. Where
Chelsea suggested that any re-raising of these issues from 20 years ago is just a distraction. And Ms. Broaddrick suggested that, Chelsea, I hate to break it to you, but your parents aren't good people. Well, we're pleased to have former nursing home administrator from Arkansas and someone who accused Bill Clinton of raping her in April of 1978. She is Juanita Broaddrick, and she joins us now. Ms. Broaddrick, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, Dan and Amy, thanks for asking.
Well, you heard what Kathleen Willey had to say when we spoke with her on Friday, kind of crystallizing what this is about. It's about Hillary Clinton, her naked pursuit of power, and she will destroy anybody in her path. Do you agree with that assessment in terms of that's what people should be considering in advance of November 8th?
Oh, definitely. I think Kathleen made a very accurate statement. We're not talking about infidelities. We're talking about rape. And we're talking about Bill Clinton sexually abusing women.
So can you go take us back to April of 1978? What exactly happened, and why didn't you press charges, or did you try and press charges? Just refresh our memory.
No, Amy. I was too frightened back then. I was working in Bill Clinton's campaign. I was also a nursing home owner and administrator, and I worked very hard in his campaign for about a month period before he visited my nursing home for a campaign tour, and that's when I first met him. And we were so excited that he was coming to my nursing home to visit with our patients and visit with the staff and tell us about his campaign. I spent approximately 30 minutes off and on trying to explain to him the plight that the nursing home industry was in at that time, about how we could not really care for our patients adequately enough with the reimbursement method. And he seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say, and told me if I was ever in Little Rock, please call him, and we would sit down and discuss these things. And that just excited me because I was so thrilled to have a willing ear.
And then how did the relationship proceed from there?
Okay, about 3 or 4 weeks later, my nurse, Norma Rogers, and I went down to a nursing home meeting. And the morning after we got there, we were getting ready to go down to our meeting. And I called his office to ask if we could meet at noontime, if we could come over to his headquarters and meet and talk with him. And the lady that answered the phone, she says, "Oh, Mrs. Hickey, he's not here." Hickey was my name at the time. And he said, "Oh, Mrs. Hickey, he's not here." But he said if you ever call, to call his apartment number, which I did. And we made arrangements to meet in the coffee shop of the hotel. It was called the Camelot at that time in Little Rock. And he said he would call me when he got to the hotel and when he got to the coffee shop, and I could come down. So I told my assistant to go on down to the meeting, and as soon as it was over, I would join her. And, of course, I never showed up for the meeting. Well, when he got to the hotel, he called my room and said, "It's so crowded down here. he said, "Can we just have coffee in your room and discuss this?" And, it's hard to think back to 1978, but I was a very naive person at that time. And I don't think I was frightened in any way to let the Attorney General of the state of Arkansas come to my room.
And so you come to his room, and he does what? I mean, to the extent
he comes to my room.
Excuse me. He comes to your room, and then what transpires between the two of you?
The conversation starts out very pleasant. He explains to me. We have coffee. We start to have coffee, and then he comes over to me, puts his arm over my shoulder, and points down to a building down below that we could view that was very dilapidated. And he said, "I'd like to restore that building when I become governor." He said it used to be an old prison. And then immediately turns me to him and starts to try to kiss me. And I don't go into things from there on, Dan and Amy. It's just it's too hard.
Understand that.
But there was, allegedly he raped you?
Oh, yeah. And it was it was horrible.
And
it was absolutely shocking and horrible and degrading and it was bad.
Was he alone, or did he have a security detail outside the room?
Gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea if someone was out there when he walked in. He had sunglasses on, and in a hallway, that should have been a tip-off right there.
Well, did he say anything when it was over? I mean, did he show any remorse, or was he apologetic?
No.
Anything?
No, Amy, that has always baffled me through the years. Is to him, it was a very, very nonchalant. That's probably not the right word, but the whole time, the 30 minutes approximately that he was in my room, and after the rape, he acted like this was no big deal. I mean, I'm crying. I'm in a devastated condition, and he calmly walks to the door, puts on his sunglasses, and says, "You better get some ice on that." My lip was already probably 3 to 4 times the size that it should be and bleeding.
Well,
and
did he hit
what
you?
Say to someone?
Did he hit you? Is that why your lip was bleeding?
He bit on my lip, yes.
And then the decision after that incident, it took you a long time to be comfortable to come forward to make this charge public.
Well, yeah, and that's the hardest thing. I don't know. You two sound young. But back in the 70s, women and probably even boys did not come forward with rape. And especially in this situation, I had invited this man to my room. And I felt a responsibility. I felt guilty. I felt, how ignorant were you to even think about allowing anyone to come to your room?
And this was a powerful politician as well. Did that factor in?
And his office regulated my nursing home business and my income.
So how, since that time, has Hillary Clinton shamed you, harassed you, or intimidated you?
Okay, repeat that. For some reason, I had trouble hearing.
How has Hillary Clinton shamed you or harassed you or has intimidated you since?
Yeah, approximately 3 or 4 weeks later, I was in sort of a state of denial and shock for a period after the rape until this fundraiser. I did not actually attend the fundraiser. I went up there about 30 minutes ahead of time. People say, well, why did she attend the fundraiser if she was raped by Bill Clinton? I didn't attend the fundraiser. I went up there very early. When I was going through all my campaign information for Bill Clinton, I found about 3 or 4 checks that people had written to the campaign and lists of people that I had talked to that were still interested in donating. They were considering it. And the lady from the state office was going to be at that meeting. So I went up there about 30 minutes early to give her this information. I'd never met her before, and tell her that, just give some excuse that I was busy and with my business and couldn't volunteer any longer. So I met with her very briefly, gave her the checks, told her I'm sorry, I can't do it. Well, before me and my friend could get out the front door, here comes the Clintons through the kitchen area. And a gentleman that drove them from the campaign, from the airport to the home, came straight over to me and said, well, it's very interesting. He said the topic of the conversation all the way from the airport was about you. Well, he no longer said that. He didn't understand the situation. He was a local pharmacist here in Van Buren, and he didn't really know what had happened to me. He was just excited that he could talk about me and who I was. And so just immediately as he steps out of the view, here comes Hillary. She comes straight to me, and she has this big smile on her face, and she's saying, oh, so happy to meet you. I just want you to know how appreciative I am for everything you do in Bill's campaign. And I just nodded and wanted to get out of there because I definitely did not want to come face-to-face with him. And so just as I started to turn and walk away, she grabs my arm very deliberately and looks at me very angrily. And she says, in a low voice that no one else can hear, she says, do you understand everything you do? And I mean, I jerked my arm away from her and we left.
And so how do you there's a Washington Post story that recounts some of this. It also recounts in 92, the Clinton campaign hired this private detective named Jack Palladino to investigate the accusers like yourself. And I wonder how you watch Hillary now decrying Trump's name-calling when she referred to Monica Lewinsky as a narcissistic Looney Tune, when she referred to you and other accusers of not infidelity but sexual assault or worse as quote-unquote rodeo queens, as Carl Bernstein recounted in his biography on Hillary.
Yeah, it's degradable, and she doesn't want this brought back up, but she needs to be accountable for all of the things that she did to us.
And she, the campaign has said in response to the Washington Post story last week and the story about this private investigator, her campaign has said they closed the book on those stories 20 years ago. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think they may think they have closed the book 20 years ago, but the book is not closed. And she left quite a little gap in it when she started attacking Mr. Trump the other day for things about Miss USA. I don't think she realizes that she just doesn't need to go there.
Now, are you supporting, obviously, Donald Trump?
Yes, I am. You know, I did not start out to do this. I did not start to support Donald Trump. I was only responding to the tweet that Hillary Clinton sent out about all victims of sexual abuse should come forward and be believed.
Right.
And that's when I tweeted what I did. I mean, shame on her. Her, of all people, should never make that comment. And then after all of that is when she removed "you should be believed" from her website.
That's right. That's right. You've got
You're
that
on it.
timeline
Yep.
right. And so here's another question, too. I mean, you know, it's not just you and it's not just Kathleen Willey. There are as many as 8, some count 12 women who've accused Bill Clinton of sexual assault or sexual harassment. And how do you look at that when there's that many women making a similar claim and you see how, for example, Bill Cosby is treated in the forget as it pertains to the law, but just culturally how he's treated. When you start to have so many women making the same allegation, and there seems to be evidence to the fact, and there are underlying accusations that have proven true about Bill Clinton, we know that. You know, the disparate treatment of you and Kathleen Willey and others as compared to, say, for example, the Bill Cosby accusers. How do you view that?
Well, it's just, you know, Bill Cosby, I used to watch him. I adored the man. I had no idea that anything like this could be in his past. He's a movie star. He's a celebrity. The Clintons are powerful political people. You don't feel as threatened coming out against Bill Cosby as you do Bill Clinton. But Lordy, I'm 73 now. I just don't fear it all coming out.
Especially when you got Hillary Clinton riding shotgun. All right. She is Juanita Broaddrick. Ms. Broaddrick, thanks so much for joining us and giving of your time and sharing your story again. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen